Johnny, let's talk about Nightmare on Elm Street.
It was just a nightmare.
Ah!
Okay, so today we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, the entire franchise. You know, I want to talk about all of the movies. Let me show you my my original Nightmare on Elm Street DVD collection. This is the DVD collections that had the clipper cases. By the way, I picked this thing up at a pawn shop like 3 years ago, and it was covered in dust. It was down in the corner, and that just added to the scariness of it. And then I fascinate about, you know, when I die, maybe I can be reincarnated as Freddy Krueger. You know, I put on a Christmas sweater, I haunt little kids' dreams, but I don't kill them. You know, I just make them come into my boiler room and we play like Call of Duty for 7 hours straight.
You forgot the power glove!
Now, Freddy finally upgraded to Blu-ray last year. Now, I know this isn't brand new or anything, but you know what? Warner Brothers was kind enough to send me a copy to talk about. Now, a question I get a lot on YouTube is, John, what's your favorite horror film? And John, would you like to be Batman? And if so, what actress would you like to bang the most? By the way, Natalie Portman. Now, what does the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise mean to me? Well, I had 3 older sisters growing up, and I remember they always watched this movie. You know, Nightmare on Elm Street was a regular thing in our house, because I remember my dad recorded them all on beta tape, and we watched them over and over. We even played like the video game on Nintendo back in the early 90s. And by the way, that game was awful, but you know what? Nightmare on Elm Street, the movies have always been my favorite horror film franchise. One thing about the original Nightmare on Elm Street is if you don't believe in Freddy Krueger, he's not real. He cannot hurt you. But then they kind of threw that out the window to make more sequels because that thing never actually happens again.
Hey Jesse, you're the Blu-ray and I'm the slipcover.
Anyway, that's my, not a very good Freddy Krueger impression. Anyway, this collection comes with this cool slipcover, and here it is. All the movies are actually in here, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 discs. And what they did, they actually put the first movie by itself. The rest of the movies are actually shared on one disc, and a lot of people had a problem with that. To me, it's just like, I guess it makes sense because they're not really compressing any of the image quality or anything like that, because these movies alone, the space that they take up, there's plenty of room left. And the 5th disc is just bonus features. And by the way, the bonus features on this thing are interesting. They have like retrospectives, you know, talking with Robert Englund and the whole phenomenon of, you know, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, a little bit of the behind the scenes footage. Now, Blu-ray picture quality wise, all of the movies kind of have a consistent look to them, a little bit flat and dull, but you know what? The original film prints were probably about the same way. The transfers are pretty decent. You know, they don't try to DNR everything out of it. They actually leave in some film grain. You feel like you're watching a Nightmare on Elm Street film that hasn't been tweaked a little too much. Alright, so now let's go downstairs into the dark, gritty boiler room, turn the furnace on, and really talk about these movies. Now, the original Nightmare on Elm Street was actually based on true events, very loosely based. Anyway, Wes Craven, the writer-director, you know, he was reading about these kids out in California who were so scared to go to sleep that they'd have coffee pot makers up in their room with extension cords, and one kid was actually found dead who was complaining about having nightmares. Now, that's creepy shit. The movie was very simplistic, and you could really sense that, but that's something that adds to the scariness. You know, when you overcomplicate a movie, you know, and you add CGI to it and all this other crap, it really takes away from that primal fear. You know the scene where Freddy's walking down the alleyway with his arms all stretched out? I mean, ever since I was a kid and I go down alleyways and it's nighttime, I'm always looking for a guy with stretched arms walking down. I'd probably hit him with my car nowadays, but could you imagine I actually kill a man? Why'd you kill that man? He was a homeless man. He had stretched arms, damn it. You know, this original Nightmare on Elm Street film it resonates with me, and that's why it's my favorite horror film, because there's so many iconic scenes that kind of always stuck with me all my life. And then you have the climax of the movie where Nancy's not going to take Freddy's bullshit anymore. Fuck you, dude. You got a Christmas sweater on, and you have 3rd-degree burns. So what I'm going to do is set up a sledgehammer, set a little gasoline down at the bottom of the steps, light your ass on fire, hit you with the sledgehammer, break the window. Daddy, help me! I got him! So Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, you follow a young man, and he moved into Nancy's old house. By the way, the opening shot on that movie, you know, each Nightmare on Elm Street movie, each sequel kind of has that one really cool, badass, scary scene. Anyway, the scene I'm talking about is the opening shot in Freddy's Revenge, where the kids are sitting on the school bus. It's a nice sunny day, and the school bus, you know, stops at one stop, stops at another one, and all of a sudden it starts skipping through the stops, and you know, it's speeding through, you know, stop signs, and all of a sudden it goes out through the desert, and it goes on this cliff, and you see Freddy as the driver of the school bus, and it's on this cliff and all the things are falling around it, and eventually it's teeter-tottering on top of one rock, and there's like... Now, in recent years, a lot of people have been talking about Freddy's revenge and some of the underlining sexual tones that are going on in the movie. A lot of people have been speculating, and I'll let you guys judge for yourself by this scene here. So Jesse seemed like a nice kid, didn't he? Anyway, you know, Freddy's Revenge, Wes Craven actually wasn't involved with this one because he didn't like the way the script was going, the direction that they were going for. And I don't blame the guy, so he kind of stepped out on this one. Alright, so let's dive into the good stuff now. You have Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Now this is considered to be the fan favorite, and I can see why, because in Dream Warriors, you actually have people grouping up to fight back against Freddy, and each one has a special power. You know, you kind of have the geeky kid who's in a wheelchair who looks like Harry Potter, and he's all into like magic and I give the son of Sam the power to kill you. He doesn't even say that, but it's something like that. And the thing about this entire movie is they're using so many practical effects, and at the time, these things are pretty state of the art. You know, you watch the movie nowadays, and it's like, you can really respect what they're doing in this movie, because if they did it now, it'd just be like a glossed over CGI sloppy mess. But back in the 80s, back in 1987, when Dream Warriors came out, I mean, to sum it up, the Nightmare on Elm Street films really utilized practical effects to the best possible way that they could have been used, because they really helped sell that illusion. And then you have Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5, which, by the way, you know, not a huge fan of either one of them. I always thought they kind of just were forgettable, in my opinion. They were okay. I mean, they were what they could be for a number 4 and 5 in a franchise. By the way, the kid from The Dream Child, yeah, that little kid scared the living shit out of me. I mean, just look at him. And then you have Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Dead, which was a lie, by the way. Even in the movie Freddy's Dead, I remember the actual actors on screen put on 3D glasses. That was the cue to the audience to put theirs on too, but it was kind of a little bit crappy gimmick. You don't really want to put that in a movie where your character has to put 3D glasses on, unless you're making a movie, you know, about zombies ate my neighbors, and in which case the one little kid with the spiked blonde hair would wear them. So after Freddy being dead for a few years, we got Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. And this was kind of the interesting part of the whole franchise of Freddy. And in my opinion, it did things that it shouldn't have done that took me out of the story. What they actually did in this movie is they made Freddy, they actually admitted in the film, the reality that they built, that he is just a made-up character in a film. And so the movie actually has like another dimension about it, about the whole process of making the fake character of Freddy in Hollywood, and Nancy's actually just an actress. They even had scenes of Robert Englund, who plays Freddy in the movies, just playing himself, sitting there painting pictures of Freddy. And I'm like, you can't show that guy as just Robert Englund on the screen. It kills the effect of Freddy to me. So that's my take on the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. You know, the movie used practical effects. You know, you had Robert Englund portraying this gritty, raw, badass character who actually had a personality, a wit and charm about him. You know, he looked burned up. He had a glove. I mean, so many iconic things. Alrighty, so here's my question to you guys. Down below, let me know who your favorite scary movie bad guy is of all time, and get carried away with it. Let me know why. Is there a specific reason why that person just scares the living shit out of you? So my name's John. This is the Flick Pick channel, and I'll see you guys next time.